What if I told you one of America's closest allies just told Trump, take it or leave it, no tariffs or no investment? That's the kind of ultimatum you'd expect from a rival, not South Korea. Yet behind closed doors, that's exactly how this new trade deal is being spun. The world is watching and the U.S. is stunned. The world is watching and the U.S. is stunned. For decades, the economic relationship between the United States and South Korea stood as a textbook example of a successful global partnership. It was a bond forged in the aftermath of the Korean War, an alliance that helped fuel South Korea's astonishing Miracle on the Han River. This transformation saw a war-torn nation rise from the ashes to become a global economic powerhouse. For Washington, South Korea wasn't just a strategic military outpost. It was one of its most trusted and reliable trading partners, a testament to the power of democratic capitalism. This alliance had a tangible, everyday impact on American life. The cars we drive, the smartphones in our pockets, the gleaming appliances in our kitchens. Many of them bore the names of Korean industrial giants. Samsung, Hyundai, and LG became ubiquitous household names, their global success built on a bedrock of free trade and open markets, principles long championed by successive U.S. administrations. The pinnacle of this economic integration was the Korea-U.S. Free Trade Agreement, or KORUS, fully implemented in 2012. Hailed by both sides as a landmark achievement, it was designed to eliminate tariffs on over 95% of consumer and industrial goods. Billions of dollars in trade flowed seamlessly between the two nations, seemingly cementing a prosperous partnership for the 21st century. But in 2017, the ground began to shift dramatically. The new administration in Washington ushered in a radically different philosophy: America first. The long-standing consensus on free trade was abruptly cast aside. The primary metric for success became the reduction of trade deficits, and decades-old allies were suddenly viewed through the same skeptical lens as economic rivals. Then came the bombshells. Citing national security concerns under Section 232, the Trump administration imposed steep 25% tariffs on steel imports, a move that hit a key South Korean industry hard. This was followed by safeguard tariffs on washing machines and solar panels, directly targeting flagship products from Samsung and LG. The threat loomed of even broader tariffs, a crippling 25%, on automobiles, the very cornerstone of the Korean export economy. For Seoul, the moves felt like a profound betrayal. They were a treaty ally, hosting nearly 30,000 U.S. troops as a bulwark against North Korea. Yet they were being treated like an economic adversary. The tariffs sent shockwaves through the South Korean government and its powerful conglomerates, known as chaebols. The very foundation of their post-war economic strategy, a stable, open trading relationship with the United States, was suddenly crumbling. The once warm relations between the two allies quickly and unexpectedly soured, forcing a frantic renegotiation of a deal that was supposed to have secured their shared economic future. After months of grueling, closed-door negotiations that sent shockwaves through the global economy, a breakthrough was finally reached. Just last month, Washington and Seoul hammered out a high-stakes compromise, pulling back from the brink of a full-blown trade war. The pressure was immense. On one side, American industries were grappling with retaliatory measures, and on the other, South Korea's export-dependent economy was facing a potential crisis. This wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It was about jobs, supply chains, and the very fabric of a decades-long alliance. The centerpiece of the deal was a significant concession from the United States. The punishing 25% tariffs, primarily targeting South Korean steel and automobiles, were rolled back. They weren't eliminated entirely, a politically sensitive move, but were reduced to 15%. This was a crucial step down from the Trump administration's original hardline stance, which had threatened to upend the entire trade relationship. For Korean automakers, who see the U.S. as a primary market, this reduction offered a vital lifeline, but this concession came at a hefty price. In a monumental exchange, South Korea committed to a staggering $350 billion in direct U.S. investment. This isn't just a vague promise, It's a targeted injection of capital into key strategic sectors. We're talking about state-of-the-art semiconductor foundries in Arizona and Texas, massive electric vehicle battery plants across the Midwest's battery belt, and cutting-edge biopharmaceutical research hubs. Furthermore, Seoul pledged to purchase an additional $100 billion in American energy, primarily liquefied natural gas, a move that helped secure America's position as a global energy powerhouse. On paper, the agreement was masterfully framed as a clear win-win. The White House could champion the massive investment and job creation, while Seoul could celebrate saving its core export industries from crippling tariffs. It seemed like a perfect example of diplomatic problem-solving. But here's the twist, the part that wasn't in the official press releases. The deal wasn't just a simple trade-off. It was the result of a calculated power play by Seoul. Sources close to the negotiations reveal that Seoul pushed back, and pushed back hard. They issued a stark warning to their American counterparts. The massive investment pledge was entirely conditional. The Korean delegation made it clear that if the 25% tariffs remained, the promised $350 billion would evaporate. It wasn't an empty threat, it was economic logic. Major Korean conglomerates argued they couldn't justify building billion-dollar factories in the US while their primary products were being priced out of the market. In essence, South Korea turned the US demand for investment into its most powerful piece of leverage, forcing Washington to realize that you can't have the investment without the trade. That's where the phrase zero tariffs or zero investment comes from. Was it a literal ultimatum? No. But in practice, South Korea drew a clear line. It wouldn't pour billions into the US economy while being punished with sky-high tariffs. And that blunt message rattled Washington. This isn't just about cars and energy, it's about leverage. This conflict reveals a fundamental truth about the 21st century economy. The intricate supply chains that power our modern world are now the front lines of international power struggles. What used to be a technical issue of logistics has transformed into a high-stakes geopolitical chess match, where economic interdependence is the ultimate weapon. The dispute over a simple tax credit became a flashpoint, exposing the delicate balance of power between two deeply integrated allies. For South Korea, this confrontation wasn't a sign of weakness, but a calculated display of confidence. For decades, Seoul has been a steadfast political and military ally to Washington. But in the economic arena, it has grown into a powerhouse, a peer competitor whose contributions are essential. The government in Seoul knew it held a powerful hand. It knows its tech giants and supply chains are too valuable to ignore. Its industrial champions, giants like Samsung, SK Hynix, and LG, are not just important, they are indispensable to the global tech ecosystem. They are the gatekeepers of the world's most advanced memory chips and the leading innovators in electric vehicle battery technology. The message from Seoul was clear. You cannot build the green, high-tech future that America wants to lead without our components, our technology, and our investment. For the US, the deal is a sobering reminder. Allies have limits. The Inflation Reduction Act, while designed to bolster American industry and counter China, was written with a domestic focus that inadvertently alienated key partners. It was a blunt lesson in the complex, interconnected nature of modern alliances. You can't treat a nation as a strategic security partner one day, while treating it as a mere economic competitor to be sidelined the next. This episode forced a difficult realization in Washington. In a multipolar world, America can't dictate terms forever. Even the closest of friends have their own national interests, their own economic priorities, and, crucially, their own leverage. For the world, it signals a profound shift. The post-Cold War consensus on rules-based globalization is giving way to a more contentious era of geoeconomics. Trade deals are no longer quiet negotiations about tariffs and quotas. They're battles fought with industrial policy and national security justifications. Nations are now using economic tools to build resilient supply chains with trusted partners, a strategy known as friend-shoring. But as this case shows, defining who is a friend and on what terms is fraught with tension. The quiet diplomacy of the past is being replaced by the loud, assertive calculus of power, and even friends are willing to push back to protect their economic sovereignty. The global playing field has been redrawn. So, was it really a take-it-or-leave-it moment? Maybe not word for word, but the message was loud and clear. South Korea isn't afraid to play hardball, even with Trump. And as tariffs, investments, and alliances collide, one question remains. Who's really in control of the future of global trade? Stay tuned because this story is only just beginning.